Over 100 years ago, RAF Halton in Buckinghamshire was used as a training base, much like today, but for a very different type of war. Before going to fight on the front line in the Great War, training was given in Buckinghamshire to dig trenches and learn how to survive and, well, for the soldiers to fight in. But nearly a century on, those trenches have now been excavated and restored and turned into a very graphic reminder of what life was once like. So our afternoon reporter, Gareth Lloyd, he's been with Corporal Russ Barber and the girls from Piper's Corner School on the first tour of the brand new trenches.
I fear we've walked all the way to the front line.
Indeed, we have. This is obviously a frontline fire bay that we're stood in. The A-frames are closer together. It's a lot narrower, a lot more confined. Obviously the fire step in front of us, which is large thick wooden boards that the soldiers would step up onto to obviously look over the top, and obviously when they advance to jump over the top and go forward towards the enemy.
So it's narrower to stop things falling in?
Basically, yeah. It's to prevent enemy artillery from landing in the trench, hand grenades and such like. Obviously the narrower the trench is, the less likelihood there is of something dropping in it from above. Obviously there was a greater likelihood of a frontline trench being taken by the enemy, so if they did take an area of it, it was more difficult to fight through, being a smaller area and easier to defend.
But if this bit of frontline was taken by the enemy, there is still our pathway and our little walkways to the communication trenches. So how would you block them all of a sudden? Or?
Yeah, basically, I mean, if above the trenches here we have two what are called knife rests or knife edges. Effectively, they're two crosses of round logs with a bar in between, completely smothered in barbed wire. As the enemy advanced into a position, the troops retreating would pull on a rope which was attached to one of the arms. It would drop into the trench and provide a considerable hazard to enemy coming through. Obviously, it's difficult to get through anyway, even if it's just you climbing over it.
Vicious.
With obviously effective enemy fire coming at you as well, it was pretty horrific.
So you tuck yourself down the other end of the communication trench and shoot at them?
As a right-handed soldier like myself, I would stand on a left-hand curve and wait for them to come around a right-hand curve, pretty much like knights of old on the spiral staircases in castles. It's more difficult to fight with your opposite hand. Obviously, I could stand there pretty well protected and defend the area.
Planes going over, the odd gunfire from the rifle range here, you get more and more into it. This is actually what it was like. I mean, it's deeper here. The boards are higher up. Is that a reason? Or?
Basically, that's to allow the area below the duckboards is known as the sump, and that is exactly what it was. Rainwater obviously would collect there, the mud would collect there and would keep you out. Obviously the duckboards are there to keep you out of the mud, to prevent you from suffering from trench foot, as we said before. Often the duckboards rotted away and the guys would be stood on the bottom, but then as the war went on, the trenches slowly filled up with detritus anyway. Obviously sandbags dumped in, sandbags were replaced, but often the materials were left in the bottom, so you would have ended up with mud and water floating pretty much above the top of the duckboard.
Well, the first class has arrived. This is the first school having a look around here, so I hope that many more schools come in the future and that they get a feeling of what it is really like down there.
Well, that's what we'd like, so thank you.
So you've had your tour of the trenches. What do you think of them?
They're really interesting. It's really clever how well they thought about it, and it's actually quite makes you think about everybody who was fighting in the battle and everything.
Has it? Looking at them, could you imagine 100 years ago what they'd been like? Because they're very nice and clean today, aren't they? But I'm sure they were covered in mud and muck and.
Yeah, you can imagine they'll be really dirty.
You can get an idea of what they're like, but they're obviously a bit more.
The design and the shape and things.
So what do you think of that?
Well, I didn't realise it was so vast and there were so many trenches around, so many more trenches. I thought that would be the only one. But when we were in the trenches, it was really very realistic.
Yeah, really realistic.
I mean, are you girls girly girls?
Yeah, I would say we were girly girls.
Okay.
How do you think of managing weeks and weeks?
Oh, it would be awful.
It's just awful.
No makeup, no water, no nothing.
Yeah. How?
No showers, no. Anything like that.
How much effort would have gone into that, and exhaustion physically,
especially for the months. How long it was actually, and then this was just the training.
Training and then going out there and possibly not coming back.
The anticipation would be so awful, wouldn't it? But now I'm glad it's better now that. It's not better now, but now we've got more technology to deal with this sort of stuff. Yeah. But.
Grateful that they were there to do it.
Yeah.
It's an experience and a half, and actually a great bit of history has been restored at RAF Halton in Buckinghamshire.